Staying with us on Standpoint, just to remind you that the primary of the APC in Edo State to select or elect who becomes the party flag bearer in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in that state is still on. We've seen several results coming from different local governments because the APC had adopted direct primaries in that as its method of selecting its flag bearer. We'll be hearing from our correspondent in that state, Iken Amechi, shortly as he continues to monitor that situation. But we'll turn attention to another big story, which is the major issue in the country today. But once we have update from Iken, we will take it along the way. But let's just get into the biggest story or the biggest issue for Nigerians today. That's the rise in food prices across Nigeria. Now, this particular situation is largely seen as a complex situation with various contributing factors. The upward trend in the prices of these food staples or staples as well as other products has weakened the purchasing power of many Nigerians, making it very difficult for many households in the country to afford daily meals. This has led to protests in states like Niger and Osun. Now, on Friday, the Nigeria Labour Congress declared a 2-day nationwide notice for 27th and 28th of February to protest against the economic hardship being experienced in the country. Mr. Joe Ajero explained that the decision to go on a protest was taken after the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum earlier issued to the federal government over, the nationwide hardship. We've also seen the federal government putting in place measures to try and ameliorate the hardship faced by Nigerians. And just we've seen, I think it was yesterday, the federal government had a meeting with state governors to try and come up with mechanisms to ameliorate the hardship. There were talks about, clamping down on those who are hoarding food, talks about security, and many more. And those are the issues we're going to be looking at today. What has been done and what more can be done. We're joined from our Abuja studio by a public affairs analyst and a former lawmaker, Honorable Bamidele Fakbarisi. Good to have you join us.
Thank you, Precious, for having me. It's good to be here.
So let me get your thoughts on what's going on in the country today. Many have said, look, it's been building up, that it's not just something that is happening because of a policy being made by this administration, that it's been a build-up across several administrations. I want to get your thoughts on that and what you think the contributing factors are.
Well, thank you very much. I agree with you that it's been building up over the years. But the trigger of what we're experiencing today actually was as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. That is the trigger for me. That triggers the devaluation of our currency, and that resulted in the weakening of purchasing power of Nigerians, and that also nosedive into food insecurity that we are experiencing at the moment because of our weakened currency. Neighboring countries are coming in to pick our foods, and that has actually affected the security of the nation. So my take is that we need to retrace our steps where we are coming from. The decision has been made. We agree with that decision that the subsidy has to go. We agree with the decision that the naira has to be a single market, not so many markets for naira, for the forex rather. But the decision to remove the subsidy, the mitigating effect of it was not, in my own view, was not properly thought out. You have so much money within the system, and which cannot be accounted for. And I think government need to retrace its steps to see how they can re-implement the subsidy remover, so that the money that is going to the state has to be looked into. So many money are going to the government hands, and most of this money are finding their way into the dark economy. And the dark economy is probably in control of our economy today, because it seems government has lost control, because all the policies of government are not yielding any positive impact.
When you say that, so two things, you talked about government retracing its steps. I would say, to what point exactly should government retrace its steps? And when you say that government, all the efforts or policies and measures by government are not yielding any results, is that because these policies are not working, or because the problem itself is also man-made, in that there are people also taking advantage of this challenge?
Of course, I said the dark economy, the unofficial economy, is now stronger than our official economy, and they are in the driving seat. The dark economy is in the driving seat of Nigeria at the moment. CBN is not in control of the economy as we speak, so they need to come up with strategy that will put them on the driving seat of the economy, so that whatever policies and regulations they are put in place will begin to yield result. For example, as I was trying to explain, when we remove the subsidy, the gain of the subsidy was channeled to the states, to the local government, and this find their way into the hands of individuals who now use it to go to the forex market to buy up dollars and keep in their homes. This dollar they kept in their homes is not for productive use. They are keeping it in their homes, and they are using it to manipulate the economy. So what I would expect government, because if you are talking about solution, we all know the problem. What I expect government is that government should reduce what they are sharing at FAC. Government should set up a special fund to mop up these funds and use it for what we can actually, in the area of our infrastructure development, our roads, network, our rails. Instead of going to China to borrow money, instead of going to World Bank to borrow money, let us channel these excess funds that are finding their way into the dark economy. Let us use it to develop our infrastructure and siphon this money away from these individuals who are using these funds to kill the economy. So as we speak today, there's no amount of intervention that government can put in place to stabilize the dollar that will work, because there are a lot of naira in the system that will suck up whatever dollars we are bringing into the system. So that is my take, and I believe that government should take a serious look at this. Corruption is the basis of all these things. We have been having corruption over the years, but now the quantum of money available to be stolen is so enormous that when stolen, they use it to buy up dollars, and the dollars are kept in people's home.
All right, so commodity prices are up, but the major challenge for Nigerians is food. And even sometimes for the food that we produce here, you find people saying that they increase the price and then say it is the exchange rate. And one wonders what the exchange rate has to do with, corn, for example, or meat, or even tomato. And you're wondering, what is the relationship between exchange rate and these commodities? And so isn't that also that Nigerians are also now taking advantage of this situation? And in terms of intervention, people are saying there has to be some level of regulation of prices. And I want to get your thought on that.
Of course, it has a lot. It has many things to do with the exchange rate. For you to do commercial farming, you need investors. Your investors are foreign investors. They bring this money in USD to help to develop our agricultural sector, and they want their money back. They will get their money back in USD. So if whatever money you are making in Naira, you need to convert it back to USD to pay your investors who have come to this country, believe in this country, and invest their USD into this country. So when someone is saying that it has nothing to do, it's not peasant farmers that are feeding us in this country. People that the people that bring in a lot of money to invest in agriculture, they are the ones that we can say are feeding us in this country, and it has a lot to do with that. And when you say when your currency is weak, I said it before, when your currency is weak, your neighboring currency is higher, then your food becomes so cheap that people who are around you will go into your country and begin to buy your foods and take it back to their country to sell at higher price. So that put pressure on the food, because people with higher currency are coming into our country to buy up our food, because our foods now to them become cheaper because of the weakness of our currency. So those are the issues that and so it has a lot to do. The major problem we have now is how to stabilize our currency. That is what is affecting food price, and there's nothing. Somebody is ordering food. Somebody is saying they are ordering food. Ordering food for what? Food is not dollar that people are ordering. If you say people are ordering dollars, I will agree with you. But people are not ordering food. So it's not the food that are ordering.
We've seen, sorry, apologies for butting in, because we've seen I mean, TVC, we had a report where in a particular state, there were about 2 warehouses where foods were being hoarded. We saw rice, we saw other kinds of grains. I think there was also the noodles packs as well. People were hoarding food. And so it was broken into. And then there was, I think there was a statement about releasing those things into the market. It is not just, there are other states where people are actually hoarding food, where these traders are actually hoarding food, just waiting for the time to put them in the market for a higher price, even though they bought at a lower price. And so will the government be wrong to say, let's get to those who are actually hoarding these food items and bring them out to the market? Isn't that also a contributing factor?
It can be a contributing factor, but it's not main. It can be a contributing factor, but it's not main. You buy stock. When you buy it to trade. As a trader, you know when it's good for you to take it back into the market. Another problem we have is that people are not actually patriotic. Lack of patriotism, influence some of these things. If people are patriotic, why ordain what that people need? But people take business decisions. To me, it's a business decision that individual has the right to take. But as a nation, we have national reserves. If we have national reserve for food, then we can bring it out to checkmate business people who are hoarding foods, if we say they are hoarding foods. So that is why we have national reserve. That's why government is supposed to invest in food security through the national reserve we have across the country. So government should release what they have in national reserve so that they can checkmate people, individuals who are trying to maximize their profit by, you call it hoarding of food. It's their decision because they invested their money in purchases to purchase these foods, and at the right time for them they want to sell. But that is why government should be the one that will curtail whatsoever the dark economy. These are part of the dark economy I'm talking about. People who think that they can hoard the food to sell at much higher price to maximize their profit. It's the same way people that hoard dollars in their homes, to also want to sell at higher price. So these are the dark economic people, and it is the responsibility of government to checkmate these people and destabilize their business, their agenda. So, but if government is not doing that, that means government is failing in its attempt. So you cannot begin to forcefully go into people's warehouse, to say because they didn't steal the food, they bought the food. So you want to force people. I mean, that is illegal. I mean, anybody can take government to court for busting into their warehouse. They didn't steal the food. Government did not keep the food in their care to share to people. They bought the food with their money, and they can as well burn it if they choose to. So government is the one that's supposed to have national reserves for food to checkmate whatever they want to do. But if government is not doing that, and government is not blaming those individuals who are doing their own legitimate business, I mean, it's not fair.
Well, first of all, government has done that. I just want to say that because there was an order given on Thursday by the federal government or by the president that 102 metric tons of various grains, that's a rice, gari, from the strategic reserve, should be released. The government has, and I'll come back to that and ask you, the impact that you think that might make. But going back to the hoarding of food, because you say that it is business. When you buy, for example, a bag of rice, you have enough money to mop up the market and buy like 1,000 or 2,000 bags of rice at 30,000. You store them up and you're waiting for the time where, it will be 50,000 or 60,000, 70,000, so you can sell. Isn't that also, it might not be a crime, as it were, but in terms of morality, isn't that also wrong, especially in a situation like this where people are hungry and then you're hoarding these food items, waiting to sell it for a higher price?
Yes, morality is different from legality. It's not moral. If you are patriotic, if you are patriotic, you know that it's not right for you to do. It's not right for you to hoard food or hoard whatever you want to hoard. That is the area of morality. But legitimacy is within their legitimate right. But if they know that government has capacity to force down the price, even below what they purchase, there will not be that sentiment to say we want to keep the food. They know if we keep the food, government can supply enough food to the market to force the price down, even below what they purchase. And so if they have that mindset that government is stronger than them, they will not go to that route. So what government should, the signal, I expect government to continue to show that government has the strength and capacity to destabilize whatever the dark people in the dark economy who are undermining the welfare of the people. I mean the government. You know, government must show itself that it has capacity to destabilize whatever they want to do. So if government release whatever metric tons of food in the market and force the price of the product down, I mean, they will also want to quickly sell off so that they will not be at a loss. But if government is not really doing much and they feel that they are the one in control, then they will take their time. So government should not allow people running dark economy to have the whole time to themselves to decide what they want to do. So government should be in control, not allowing these people to be to dictate the pace to government. That's what I'm trying to say.
102 metric tons of various grains being released from the strategic reserves. What impact do you expect that to make in the interim?
You see, the same problem we are talking about, the same problem with USD, is the same. I mean, with Forex, the same problem we are having with fiscality. You have people who have amassed a lot of funds, either legitimately or through fraudulent or corrupt means. They have the capacity to even mop up whatever government is trying to release, to even make more profit. So what we should, as a nation, do is to checkmate these people who have free access to the national treasury, and bring out money, and they do whatever they want to do with it to control the economy. So and the problem we have now, if we trace it back, we link it to the removal of subsidy. The removal of subsidy had left a lot of money floating around within this government cycle. That is the truth. Before now, this subsidy are shared by Nigerians. You know, I'm an ardent supporter of removal of subsidy. But the aftermath of this removal, the implication now is that this money saved is now shared to government across board, and this is not healthy for the economy. So what we expect government to do is to have a meeting with the National Council and say, we must reduce what we are sharing to the state. We must have a pool where we can use the money centrally to control the money, so that the people will not have access to too much money within the government cycle to do whatever they want to do.
Well, the idea is that the state governors are closer to their people. And so the increase was to ensure that initially, I think there was also an amount of money given for palliatives to governors. The one given to lawmakers is quite a controversial one, and you know, no one knows whether that's true or not. But for the governors, there was, I think, about 5 billion naira given, because you know, the governors insisted that, look, they're closer to the people, they know their people and know where it pinches and know how to ameliorate, you know, the plight of their people. We saw some states where buses were brought out to help students get to school. We saw some states, you know, sharing food. And so perhaps that's the idea of the increase in the allocation to states. I just wanted to say that, you know, I'm not in the mind of the federal government, but just saying perhaps that's the idea, to help also ameliorate the plight of citizens in those states as well.
What I'm saying, after the removal of subsidy, the money saved is run into trillions of naira. The money saved are shared. Nothing, no savings are shared to state and local government. State that takes 4 billion before may now be taking like 8 billion, 9 billion. Before now, they take like 4 billion. Some state that takes 7 billion may now be going on with like 15 billion.
I was saying,
yeah,
I was saying that perhaps the increase for that allocation to states is because the state governments, or governors rather, are closer to the people. And perhaps at the federal level, the thinking was, if we increase your allocation, you can use that to ameliorate the plight of your people and also pay workers, seeing that the cost of living is now high. That perhaps that was the thinking. Is that a wrong step? That's the question. That was what I was talking about.
See, we are not saying they should not get more than what they get before. But what we are saying is that it should be controlled, because that is where the inflation started. That is how the inflation started. It should be controlled. Federal government sharing the whole money. Now, I think the last jack, they tried to save some money. They should control inflation from jack. Government should control inflation from jack, not from not from CBN this policy that they do, but they should control it from JAG, because that is government is the greatest spender. So it's when government release the money at the end of the month, then you have too much in circulation that is forcing this inflation that we are experiencing. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying that state government should not get more than what they used to get before the removal of subsidy, but it should be controlled. It should not be, if the gain is like 500 billion and the whole 500 billion are shared across board. If you say state government is closer to the people, then you should say local government is more closer to the people. So, but local government and state government, they are not the manager of the economy. It's the federal government that is the manager of the economy. So one state, if one state is doing what is right, it cannot affect the Nigerian economy either positively or negatively. So we cannot control what all the state will be doing with the funds. We cannot control what all the local government will be doing with the funds. That's the problem. So what we are saying is that government should, in the interest of Nigerians, should take a second look at what they do with the money saved from the removal of subsidy. That is, to me, the genesis of the problem, is the trigger of what we are facing today. Is the trigger of what we are facing today. So if government should go back, step back and say, okay, this money this gain, we will not send everything to state government or to local government. We will say maybe add 30% to this arms of government. Where the 70% will be with a fund where we will use people with credible character within the country, will manage and we use to develop our infrastructure. Like during Abacha time, Abacha set up PTF, that the gain were put in PTF, and PTF were using the gain to develop infrastructure across in the health sector, in the road infrastructure, hospitals, the rest of that. But in this case, nobody can say all the savings from the subsidy, this is what we have done with it. Except we say we are talking about palliative, buying rice, distributing rice in the market. That is caricature economy, the way I look at it. You cannot be buying, if you give me one bag of rice, am I going to eat it for 1 year? If you give market to men 5,000 you call it palliative. Is 5,000 going to take care of him and his family for 6 months? So we are talking about sustainable solution, not just a palliative that within the next 3 months there's nothing, you cannot point your hand to say this is the gain. So now, what is the gain of the subsidy removal? If we should ask ourselves, what is the gain to Nigeria today? It's pain. What is the gain? If we are beginning to see the infrastructure development springing up, new hospitals springing up, say this money, this hospital is being built from the money saved from removal of subsidy. This road is being constructed from the money saved from removal of subsidy. Schools, free education, reduce school fees for students. We are reducing school because the money saved from subsidy is being used to subsidize education. It's being used to subsidize agriculture. There's no economy that can grow without subsidy. We should not deceive ourselves. But we should do it in the right way. So if we are talking about rice farmer, maize farmer, what kind of subsidy are they getting? It should be quantified. We are investing so billion to subsidize rice manufacturer. So we can even open our border, let them compete. But let us subsidize them. Let them compete. Let there be food. Let us open our border, let the rice come. Then let us subsidize our own rice farmer. We are subsidizing, you go and compete.
That is also part of the plan. I think that was just a minute. That was also part of the plan. But this has been done before. We saw a closure of the borders by the Buhari administration. That was to shore up local production, especially of rice, and to crash the price. But it doesn't seem like that is working. So in terms of that particular policy and where we are today, I just want to get your thought on it. And then you're saying that, again, subsidizing local farmers, when initially that was done, but it doesn't seem like it seems to be working with what we are seeing now.
I don't really get your question right. But what I'm trying to say, in my own view, is that the subsidy, the gain from subsidy, we should be able to quantify the benefit. What do we use the gain for? Why would Nigeria go through pain?
And you have said that. My point
yes.
was you have talked about the gains of subsidy, but you were talking about subsidizing local farmers, and I said you were talking about opening the borders, and I said that that's one of the measures being rolled out by this administration, in terms of incentives to local farmers. But that I was also trying to get your thought on the policy by the Buhari administration to close the borders, just so that we can improve on local production here and then also crash prices, especially of rice. If you think that policy...
I agree. Yes, I agree with that policy because our manufacturing capacity, our production capacity of rice has increased tremendously by 1,000-folds due to that policy, which is good. But we must tell our farmer they should also be ready to compete. They should be ready to compete. So we have closed border. We cannot close border forever because we want to protect local production. The leverage has been given to them. Government should continue to subsidize that sector, but that should not stop government from opening the border. Then, so that they too will know that they have competitors, and they will develop adaptable strategy to be able to compete, so that they will not be insolent. You know, like you have a child. Your child must one day crawl. Your child must one day walk. Your child must one day begin to run. And if you leave if you have a child, all you do is just continue to carry the child. You know, because it's your baby, you love the child. Continue to carry the child. The child will not run. We want a agri sector that will run and compete with the global economy, with the global world. That is where we can make gain from agriculture. And they must know, our farmers must know, we are going to support you, but you are going out to compete. Not that people collect government money and they begin to flex around, buy jeeps, enjoy themselves, marry many wives, and this and that. Because there is no this idea of we are giving you this support so that you can compete. Conditional support. So part of this subsidy money should be giving conditional support. For example, if you can produce 5 metric tons in a year, we are going to give you this amount of money. If you can produce 10 metric tons, we are going to give you 20 million naira. Prove to us that you produce 20 metric tons of rice. We are going to give you 10 million naira as grant for producing that. Those are the saying, not that you just give money to people and people will no longer use the money for the agricultural purpose. They will now take the money to start doing so, to buy dollar and keep. The money you give it to them so that they can increase their production and agriculture. They will take the money and buy dollar and keep. Double jeopardy.
So
that's what I'm saying.
Because there have been a lot of incentives for the agricultural sector over the years. It would seem as though you're saying that it has not worked because there is no adequate money.
It's not performance based. It's not performance based.
Okay,
what
so
we should move now. What? Sorry. Let me say what Buhari has done phase 1, which is good. Now we know that we can do it. We can feed ourselves. It's possible for us to feed ourselves. The next step that this administration should do is to make it performance-based support now. We will give you, if you can meet up with this, we'll give you this. If you can produce this, we'll give you this to support what you have achieved in that year. If you produce 1 metric ton of rice, of maize, we are going to give you 200,000 naira as government. But the problem with Nigeria, people, no matter the good intention of the government, there are people that are out to circumvent it. That is the problem. That's why I talk about patriotism. No matter the good intention of government, there are people that are waiting in the line to circumvent it and for their own personal gain. It's quite unfortunate.
So you've been hammering on people buying dollars and keeping in their homes. I wanted to speak more on that because you seem to think that that's the biggest issue that we have. Is there a strategy to mop up that kind of, you've called it a dark economy, to mop up the dollars that you believe that people are keeping in their homes?
Yes, fantastic. I have a solution. The problem is very simple. People think that dollar, they can keep value, of their wealth in dollars, and whatever they have, they mop it up. You see people now selling their houses to buy dollar. They believe that real estate is no longer profitable like US dollar. Real estate people are complaining now because there's no funds to even develop projects, because people prefer to keep their money in dollars than to invest in real estate to keep their wealth. So what I expect government to do is government should give ultimatum. Government should give ultimatum for people to, just like we do with Naira, to come and deposit their money in the bank. Failure quick, that government should put restriction on deposit. Maybe give them 6 months. Whatever dollar you have, bring it to the banking system. After 6 months, you will not be able to bring it again. Then the money is useless with you. Then government should now put restriction in place. So, say for example, you cannot deposit more than $10,000 in a month by cash. Then if you keep $50 million at home, you know how long it's going to take you for you to spend that $50 million if you cannot deposit more than 10,000 in a month. So government should be very, I mean, the solution to the problem we are facing today is not a textbook solution. A textbook solution will not take out of this. IMF or World Bank advice will not help us. We must do something extraordinary, something unusual.
And what impact will that have?
My suggestion...
Just a minute. Do people have to deposit dollars in the bank before they can spend it? You can spend out of pocket. So I'm wondering how, depositing your dollars in the bank or a failure with which it will be useless in your hand. I don't see how that sort of, ties together.
Okay, let me tell you how it's going to link up. The dollars in people's home are unproductive dollars. They are unproductive dollars in people's home. So when people want to give, they say they want to give value, it's unproductive. If it's in the bank, the CBN will use it to trade. Since you are not going to, if you have $50 million in your account, since you are not going to use it today, Nigeria will be, people who want to use it for genuine business transactions will have access to it. People who have genuine business to do don't have access to dollars. That is why the value is going. That's why the naira is beginning to depreciate. So if we force people who have this dollar at home to bring it to the banking system, then it will leave the dark economy, because if it's at home, it's in the dark economy, government cannot see what is going on there. So if we bring it out of the dark economy into the mainstream, into the official economy, we will see how much dollars we have. If the dollar is there, government will continue to use it to trade. That is trading, that is banking. So the problem we have now is that people just keep it at home. Is when they think that they need to spend some money, they go and call Malam to change for them, and they spend. So, that's one of the major problems that we have.
I get that point.
Yes.
Like, the ultimatum for people to bring it to the bank. But what I really don't get is the consequences for not bringing it to the bank. Because whether or not you bring it to the bank, you are still able to spend it out of pocket. Some people have naira in their home, and they don't take it to the bank. It doesn't stop them from spending it. So it's the consequences that you talked about that I really don't.
The consequences is this. Let me give an example. I have $20 million in my home. I have $20 million. I sell maybe 20,000 at a time. Maybe like that when I need naira equivalent. But if government now say you cannot deposit more than $10,000 in your account in a month, so it's become difficult for me to sell $50,000 to an individual who want to do business. It becomes difficult for me. Then the value will begin to depreciate in my hands, because less people will prefer to get the money directly from the system through the banking, through the wiring whatsoever, rather than looking for people who have cash at home. And because if you have the cash at home, if you buy $50,000 from someone who have cash at home, you cannot deposit more than $10,000 in a month. That will not help me as a business person who want to transact. I need like $50,000 to transact, and I can only deposit $10,000 in the bank. So that will not help me. So if all this money are in the banking system, then we cannot depend on the banking system to raise when you want to buy dollar. If I can sell to people, I can make transfer. If I have the dollar in my account, I want to sell, I can transfer to anybody. Government should allow that. You can affiliate transfer within account, but not cash. Is the problem we have is the dollar in cash that is in our system. If you look at it, it's more than what is in America. The dollar in our homes, if we sack people's home now, the dollar you find there will be more than what you get if you go to America. That's the problem. So government should ensure, government should find the...
Yes. As we begin to wind down, I get the point for that ultimatum for people who do bank-to-bank transactions, those who are paying school fees abroad, those who are paying for medical bills, and you are buying, for exports, if you're buying things abroad. But for those, it shouldn't then also be a restriction on how much you can carry in terms of dollars in your pocket. Because there are people who do not need to do bank transfers to take this money. If you're traveling, for example, and you decide to take your money abroad, I mean, aren't you free to do that without having to deposit it in the bank?
There is what you call money laundering act. There is limit to what you can travel with. It's either you are caught here, you are caught overseas. There is limit. I think Nigeria maybe, I don't know, maybe $3,000 or $5,000. You can go with in cash. Some people take the risk of moving more money, but if you are caught, you risk jail term either in overseas or in Nigeria because it's a crime. So because it's a crime, so the issue is that government should allow free, easy transfer. People should be, if I have money, if I have $1, there should be limited restriction for me to sell to anybody online or transfer. I mean, government can actually overlook it. People that are into this transaction, they are mostly corrupt people who want to hide their money, who don't want people to see them. That's why they keep it at home. So with this, you will even be fighting corruption. So if you want to collect your corrupt proceeds, collect it in naira. Don't collect it in dollar. Don't harm the naira the more. So that's the problem. People that have access to money through whatever opportunity they have, and they want to keep the money without government raising it, they go to the dark market to get this money. We should discourage that by all means. We discourage that. And our leaders should have respect for the currency. We don't have respect for the naira. Even from the top, there was a time somebody was telling me, a minister in this Federal Republic of Nigeria, even contested for president, was saying that when somebody mentioned naira in his, I say they don't mention this currency in this place. We don't spend that money here. Don't mention that money here. We only spend dollars. Don't mention that money here. That was a sitting minister who wanted to contest for president of Nigeria. Who was saying that? Question. So people don't have respect for the currency.
That leads me to my next question, yes. Because talks about, if you go on social media, you see a lot of conversation around people who are selling within the country in dollars. For example, you walk to some shops and they are selling their commodities in dollars, and people are wondering if that's the right thing to do. That's not obtainable in some other countries where it is compulsory that you spend their currency. I want to get your reaction to that, and if you think that that's also hurting the naira as well.
I have a typical. I did one overseas trip like a few days ago, and I was there with dollars. It's an European country, and I called my partner. I say, "Can I have a place to change the money when I get into town?" He said, "No." He said, "You better change it at the airport. If you don't change it at the airport, there's nowhere you can change it in town. There's no way you can change it in town." So that is a country that is working. Dollar, euro. You don't spend dollar. You don't take dollar to euro shops and say because you have dollar you want to. They will not take it from you. But in Nigeria here, dollar is flowing freely. That is part of the problem. Government, there should be legislation. I think there's a legislation that actually restricts that, because legislation say the law, is it the law or the constitution of the federal government say you can only transact in naira, but people are flaunting that law. So EFCC should begin to go after stores, shops that are spending dollars and begin to make scapegoat of them, because that is the problem. People are spending dollar. People don't want to spend naira again. They are spending dollar. They want to they dollarize the economy already. So that's the problem. So it's illegal, even as the law today, it's illegal for you to transact in dollars. But government don't look at it. But now government should begin to look at it and begin to implement that law that it's illegal for you to transact in other currencies outside Nigeria within the Nigerian territory. And government should be strict with that. And government should send out intelligence and begin to make scapegoat of any individuals or corporations that is engaging in such.
Well, a lot of issues to look at if we're going to continue to talk about this, but we'll see how government continues to respond, especially to the exchange rate and the cost of living. Thank you so much for talking to us. Honorable Bamidele Fakbarisi, public affairs analyst and former lawmaker.
Thank you very much.
Been watching Standpoint. Don't forget, we will continue to monitor the primary of the APC in a bid to select or elect its gubernatorial flag bearer for the gubernatorial election later this year. We'll bring you updates on that subsequently in our bulletins. But that's been Standpoint. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can watch a repeat broadcast at 11 p.m. tonight and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. I am Precious Amayu.